Hey YouTube, so I just wanted to start out by saying thank you to all 8 of you who subscribe to my channel. I appreciate you. I've been noticing on Facebook and other bike forums people complaining about their bike squealing and just generally making undesirable noises. So I have a problem, or this is a problem, and it's easily fixed. All you have to do is clean your brakes. Now, it seems like a daunting task, all these nuts and bolts here, but I promise you it's very simple. You're going to need a ratchet kit, an Allen key set, a cheap thing of 100 grit sandpaper, some brake clean. One of these is like 12 bucks at your nearest hardware store, or you can usually find them for like a 4-pack on Amazon for like 40 bucks. And I'm Canadian, so this is Canadian monopoly money currency. And good old Freedom American dollars, I'm sure it's about 70% of the cost. So, first things first, you're going to want to pull out your ratchet kit, grab your 10mm, and undo these. I've already pre-done that just to make this a little quicker. And you're going to pull them out. And then you're going to be able to pull this off. What you're going to then do is slide this forward a fair bit. Don't yank it out. You don't want to damage your stuff. You're going to grab your Allen key set, and there's 2 Allen key bolts on this side right here. Let's see if we can get that in the video. 1 and 2. You're going to go ahead and unbolt those, or unscrew, whatever word you want to use. And they shouldn't be too hard, but if you've put on over 2,000 kilometers on your bike, or 1,300 miles or so, you're going to want to put on a tiny bit of releasing agent maybe, because that's going to be a relatively tough open up for you. You might even snap an Allen key if you have cheap tools. So now that those are out, you can slide your brake pads out, and then just slide that back and rest it on your bike. Don't let it bang against your brakes. So now that we've got these off, you can pull it apart. These are your brake pads. Once they're shiny like this and kind of grossed and gummed up, I try to keep my brakes pretty clean. I clean them around every 1,500 or 1,000 kilometers or so. And I use the brake clean, and I take good care of them, and I don't brake too hard. But if you are driving these like a vehicle and not like an e-bike, you will find every 1,000 kilometers you will need to clean your brakes. It's a very simple process. You're gonna set these down on, I don't know, something. I'm going to be using a piece of wood over there, and basically we are going to wet them down with the brake clean, sand them a little bit, and then wet them down again with the brake clean and let them dry. But before we let them dry, we're going to take one of these, your average disposable washcloth for doing dishes and stuff, and we're just going to give them a little wipe up, because you see this little bits of rust here. You want to get that nice and touched up. So let's head over here. see if I can get the camera propped up nicely. There we go. We're going to place our brakes. We are going to, and you don't want to sand them dry because you will take way too much off of them, okay? So you're just going to, from a slight distance, about a foot. It's a little windy here, so I don't want to go too far away. I'm just going to spritz them nicely. As you can see, the sun is cleaning them up, or drying them out a little bit. You don't want to wait too long, but you also don't want to get this on your hands too much, right? Now I'm just going to grab it from two of the more drier bits there. And we're going to wipe this down a little bit, using it while it's still a little dry, still a little moist. And I find doing this out in the open and not in a garage is a lot easier because you have the work is done by the sun. You don't have to do all the work yourself. And you don't have to wait too long either. So you're going to grab your sandpaper and give it a nice light sand. Make sure you go in one direction, the same way your brake calipers go. You can go back and forth, just not up and down. Alright. Gotta get a little bit more off, they're still a little shiny. You don't want them to look like a mirror. Now brake pads only have to be replaced every 5 to 8 years, really depending on how much you abuse them. These have plenty of brake pad left. This rides basically up until it's a straight line, then it's unusable. A little windy today. So then, we're just gonna free spritz that a tiny bit. Want to get it nice and a little bit moist. We're gonna use that to clean up a little bit. And now this isn't like extremely bad for you. If you get it on your hand, just go and rinse your hand off with a little bit of cold water. Never use hot water with corrosive material. Always use cold water. Hot water will make the reaction of corrosive material much faster, and it will only hurt you. If you use cold water, you can rinse it off. So what you're going to do now, take the other side. And you can obviously skip forward at any point of the video to see the next step. I'm just doing a one-shot video for those people that like to watch full-form videos and see any and all problems that arise and how they get tackled. Also, for anyone wondering, you don't need to use Taoleo brand brake replacements. You can get a Kawasaki Ninja 300R brake caliper kit. You get 6 pieces for like $35 on Amazon. Don't buy these overpriced parts from Emo or Tao or Daymac. These companies, while I appreciate the fact that they bring these things over from China and pay all of the extra fees and stuff, they charge you an absolute arm and a leg for everything. And they're just rebranded parts that are manufactured en masse in some factory in China. And I'm not saying China doesn't make good parts. Obviously they make great parts. We use them all across the world for everything. But they are absolutely overcharging you on these parts. So now, what we're going to want to do is on the inside of here, these pistons, oftentimes they will get a little dirty. You're just going to grab a clean cloth and wipe them off. Dry. You don't want to use water in this because you don't want to rust your pistons. What you're then going to do is using that clean, or using the inside of that cloth, because obviously it's going to get dirty, or use another cloth. I'm just trying to keep it down to one cloth because I'm not trying to be cheap, or I'm not trying to be super expensive, but you just wipe it off a little bit. Sorry about the palming of the camera there for a second. It was just a little hard to get it wiped off. And you're just gonna want to get in there the best you can, wipe it off, get all this dirt and grime out. You could spritz a little bit of brake clean in there, but the brake clean will damage your pistons a little bit. Not much, but a little bit. And now, I have set aside a small amount of canola oil. And what you're going to do is just dab your finger in it, and then you're just going to go around and get this nice and, or you can even use brake fluid. Like I said, I'm cheap. But you're just going to want to dab a little bit around everywhere, get it a little lubricated. You don't want to get it too much. Brake fluid is like 4 times or 3 times more expensive than canola oil, and it's just expensive canola oil, let's be honest here. Now absolutely I would only use brake fluid in an actual brake line. I'm not a complete idiot, but for doing this really simply, and also you can't be afraid to get dirty if you're gonna do this. You will get dirty. But yeah, there we go. We've got it nice and lubricated. Now we're gonna grab the brake lever, the back brake, and push out the pistons a small amount. Now, as you can see, they're a little dirty still, but that's fine. They don't need to be completely clean, and you don't want to get them completely clean. You want to just get them clean enough, because if you get it too clean, like factory clean and stuff, then you'll experience other issues, like having to make sure you feed proper amounts of brake fluid through the lines again, and that's why I don't take apart the brake itself, because I'm not trying to do all of that. But as long as you maintain them properly, camera here, you should be able to push them back in with your fingers. And if you can't, that's okay, just get something to pry them back in, and then grab the brake lever again and pull them back out, and then work them in a couple of times, so you can get any excess lubrication in there, because you really want them to be able to move easily, so the brake lever isn't getting clogged up. Now with this, you're just going to want to tidy up any of the dust on it. There shouldn't be too much on it. They're pretty good at keeping themselves clean. Sometimes in the inside here it gets a little dirty. just run a cloth through it. And then you're going to want to, well, I personally do this where I always like to pull them apart just a little bit, just to give them that extra little bit of spring back into them. That way they pull the brakes apart really well. I find after 1,000 or 2,000 kilometers, they tend to lose a little bit of their spring, and so you want to try and give that back to them. So they sit more at a V angle. Like, I mean, this is how they sit inside the bike, but you don't want them to be under tension at all times because then they lose that tension. So, this is the side that goes towards the pistons, and this is the side that goes towards the outside. It's not super important to make sure they go back in the correct way, but you don't want to cause any extra damage to the brake pads themselves, and once they go in one way, they kind of like to stay in that way. So you're just going to slide that back in, and sometimes you have to get those pistons in really deep to be able to get this back one in, or even just one of the front ones. The other front one's pretty simple because this isn't so bad, but the one that I have on my front, this comes out a little bit farther, and I don't know why. I'm probably gonna cut that off at some point with a grinder, like an angle grinder or something, but it's not a big deal for now. So we're just gonna let that hang out right here, and what we're gonna do is these pins that we took out earlier, we just want to put a little bit of lubrication on them. Oops, don't drop them. Just want to put a little bit of lubrication on them. That way the metal on the inside of the clip doesn't snag. As you can see, they don't last very long, and these pins are like, you can get like 100 of them on AliExpress for like $10 plus like $5 shipping or something like that. They're so cheap. So don't worry about damaging them, and if they do get too damaged, you can replace them so simply.